Muy buenas noches. We're here at Vulkan in Oakland, California with Aztlan Underground. Hi guys, how are you guys doing tonight?
Cool, cool. We're doing good. Thank you for having me.
So tell us your names and let's start by that and then tell us what you, lo que ustedes aportan a la banda, ¿no?
My name is Yao Masawa. I'm the vocalist, Aztlan Underground.
I'm Joe Peps. I play flutes and bass.
Ignacio, I'm Gacho for short. So I play percussion and drums in the band.
So tell us about the reasons why you guys are here. Like I know that it was a press release and as well as a presentation of your new album.
Right. Like we took a long time. Like this pretty much the last decade of the 2000s. We've been like working on this record, and for various reasons, it wasn't able to come out till probably like last year digitally, and now this year the physical release of it. So yeah, that one right there exactly. And so we're promoting it, doing a little mini tour with the band Fitter from LA and this band Pop Auto Bombers from Watsonville. So we're doing Oakland tonight, the 9th, and tomorrow Stockton, the 10th, and then the 11th Watsonville, and then Santa Cruz, like this little community TV show.
So I know you guys have been around for 20 years. And I want to know about the transitions of the band, like from the beginning, to the middle, the first decade to now, like with the changes that have happened.
Right. Well, we're born out of actually, myself. I had like a punk rock background, and then I was inspired by the hip hop movement, the directness of communicating ideas directly, but with a beat, and during maybe late 80s when was made aware, mid to late 80s when I was made aware of our identity as Mexican people, as being indigenous, and so around the late 80s is when it was golden year of hip hop. 88, which is when Public Enemy, Boogie Down Productions, they came out and they were talking about black empowerment, about it's okay to be black, in the white person's world, white man's world, and so they were inspiring a lot of people. And so around that time, we were doing, me and one of the original members, Bean, were doing danza. So we ended up creating a group. We're trying to think about a group, and then finally by 1990 we got together with this guy named Bulldog, who's original. And we're three of us originally, Bulldog, Bean, and myself, and we mixed the indigenous instruments for flutes, the native drums with beats, but also talking about identity politics. And then that was like 1990, and around 92 is when the 500 years of since Columbus came kind of was kind of like emerging, and people were getting aware of most Chicanos were getting more aware of being indigenous. And so around that time we ended up coming out with a cassette, actually, of back then the cassette, that's how long ago it was, we're talking about 1492 and stuff. And then by 94, it sounds funny, but 94 I know, a reel to reel, no, I'm saying, but anyway, so in 94 is when the Zapatistas uprose, and around that time is when I met Joe, and Joe's a bass player, and he sang around this place called Popular Resource Center, and that's where Zach de la Rocha, because we knew Zach, and not dropping names, but we knew him from before they blew up or whatever, and so we were friends.
Yeah, you guys opened up for Rage Against the Machine in the DF, right?
Yeah, and a couple other times, because we have a relationship with him from before, that they blew up before his first album came out, actually, because our drummer, who ended up being our drummer then, was friends with him through the student movement in Orange County, because he's from Irvine or whatever. So that's how we ended up knowing him. But around that time, that's how he had a warehouse, and that's where I met Joe, because Joe, a lot of artists were going to in Highland Park in Northeast LA, and that's where I met Joe through our drummer, our previous drummer, who was friends with Zach, whatever then, and that's how we started jamming out. I know, not name dropper, but whatever. But anyway, so I know, because it's really not about knowing him, because he's all good, it's cool, but we have we're just that underground phenomenon. But anyway, so then we met him, and then I met him, and then Rudy started playing drums, and it was us as bass and drums, and then Rudy got his brother was a guitar player, and then it was me, Bulldog. So we just ended up by 95 becoming a band, and then in 95 though, in that same year, we had put out a hip hop album called Decolonize, and that was our first album. But around that same year is when we started doing the band. But by 98 we had another record called Subverses that we did, and then but it came out in '98, but then it came out in all the stores in 2001, like Best Buy, like everywhere, like by 2001. And so then not till 2008, 2009 were we ready for this latest record. The reason is because we had a lot of personnel changes, like original members. Like I'm the last original member, but that's why, like you were asking me about earlier, why we call it Aztlan Underground, because like for us, we feel like it's the culmination of like what we've always been trying to be, as friends, as we're like, like a surrogate family in a way, like, and with all the other manifestations, we've always had like weak links, you know what I mean? So, and not hating on none of the contributions of no one, man, but it's just there was not like a long haul commitment, and so this is like a long haul commitment,
No, yeah, then that's really interesting, because I was having a conversation with you earlier, and we were talking about 20 years of different members coming in and out, and I was asking him, I was just like, well, it's kind of weird. After 20 years, usually a band calls their first album by the name of the band, right? And he was talking about how solid it felt, and that was the reason why it came about. So I want to know how you guys came into this.
All right, so how do we start? From '94, when I met Yout, like working with like, organizing and then eventually participating in the Zapatista Encuentro and all that, like all the activism that went from that point on to playing music with Yout. It was interesting, to be part of, and see the changes happen with like Rudy and Bobby. We did it with Subversives, and then with Gacho and Zoe. The transition was just natural. I think it just kind of fell into place. Like Gacho has such a good heart, got good, motivations, and working with other, bands too within that time, the punk scene, the, do-it-yourself punk scene and so on. And so somehow from that point on, it was a natural transition that we had a self-titled this record that we came up with. It took a long time, but we got to that stepping stone on it, and now we feel better than ever. Like it's such a strong bond and message that's like cohesive for humanity, and because it's a cry for humanity, and more than anything, like to try to make positive change globally, as a global movement through music and for social change.
So right now that you're talking about the message, Gacho, like tell us about the CD. Like what can we expect to hear here? Here.
Well, this is. These are 11 pieces that we've worked on for what 7, 8 years. Like just really, we decided. We decided together to just create something that wasn't that was going to come out just openly from our hearts, And so we didn't put a time on it. We didn't put like anything on it. We just let it naturally happen, and this is what came out of it. Well, just I think a lot of the things that are on here are the things we're going through at the time, things that were going around us, mostly just things like the South Central Farm, just a lot of things, and they were just our feelings on it, mostly, for the most part.
Like it's crazy because in a sense of creativity, with this new record, we feel that more that we have to kind of bring back the natural elements of things like the drums and flutes like that, which has always been the motive, from right from the beginning. But even more now, it's needed. It's like, I don't know, we need to kind of send out positive vibrations through like Mother Earth that speaks, or those things like the trees, or which is the drums, and the rattles, which are the plants, and the flutes that we use, like the wind. Honoring those ancients, that are our ancestors. And this record, it speaks so much, because like you were saying that at the time with the 911 and all that madness that went down, like we were all there present, like the day before, and doing the 30th anniversary of Attica, Radical Massacre and so on, and it just in this record, you know, it speaks so much. You know, it's like that was given. You know.
So right now that you mentioned the South Central Farm, I know that was really important within like LA's history because that was a farm that served the community and there was a lot of involvement. I got to see Sac de la Rocha with his project with Son Jarocho as well as Tom Morello with his own project, and I know that was one of the things that like brought LA together, you know. So now like hearing that was some of the inspiration behind it, I want to know more about that.
Yeah, well, like because of like this, there's this one of the organizers, Rosa, this woman Rosa. She was like a person that was kind of like a glue for all of the, like she kind of like threaded everybody together, you know. Like she was like one of the main organizers and main kind of like liaison between the actual community members from South Central who were planting their, you know, sembrando their little, you know, plots, and they were like and creating vegetables and you know, passing them out to the community members that needed it, you know. And so she was a conduit between the activist community and stations like KPFK, whatever, and then also the people, high profile people like Tom Morello, whatever, and stuff, and you know, also, you know, Joan Baez and all this. She connected all like grassroots, celebrity, organizers, artivists, if you will, you know, and they just put them all together, and it was a really beautiful moment and time, and very it was empowering, educational, and also just it really drew a sense of community and also the importance of growing your own food, of becoming independent, autonomous, and I really think that one of the motives behind Stomp, right, exactly, and to stomp that out was that because that would set the example for the rest of for the nation, for the rest of the people to like that, you know, you can create community gardens and become self-sufficient, if you will, you know, like on creating your own gardens on like a bigger, pretty big scale, and but see, that would cut into industry profits, that would cut into, you know, dependency, you know, that would create true independence if people were to you know create their own kind of confederation or federations, if you will, of gardens. Like gardens becomes a revolutionary act, and they stomped it out, but also got everybody into that consciousness, and so a lot of gardens have flourished from there. There's all kinds of gardens all over like LA, and but you know but it hasn't been seen in that mass scale. It was like how many acres? It was like a lot of acres. I don't remember. It was like massive.
For a warehouse. When I know for a fact, because that was one of the main arguments, that there were so many empty warehouses around, you know, so it was just like you said, it was to tear down, you know, community and bonding, you know, and like the empowerment of what it is, you know, to work as a community, you know, and like stepping outside of individualism. Oh yeah.
It showed people that you didn't need them, you know, that it showed them, you know, that we didn't need them to survive. We don't need them to be able to communicate with one another, you know, and that pose a threat and stuff. So I think that's why they had to shut it down.
So, chavos, pues ya escucharon a esta banda súper chingona y consciente que está, pues realmente que le importa la tierra, que le importa la sobrevivencia humana, ¿no? Y pues dinos dónde podemos encontrar esta música, dónde podemos comprar el CD, dónde van a tocar.
Pues puedes buscarnos por cdbaby.com o por Facebook, o estamos en iTunes si quieres pues sabes, comprar nuestra música en ese sitio de iTunes.com, and AztlanUnderground.net, and MySpace, of course, and Bandcamp. You can download our record on Bandcamp. Yeah, so.
Pues ya lo escucharon, chavos, y aquí estuvimos con Aztlan Underground de Los Ángeles y estamos aquí en Oakland, California, en el Vulkan, transmitiendo para Huevos TV. Me despido, Jazmín Morelos. Huevos.